Good. Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Robert Cowan, and this is Visitation Valley Community Unity. We are a group of leaders in Visitation Valley who come together to bring unity among the various people groups in our community. And so we are so pleased today to have Lindsay from District 10, Supervisor Walton's office, who's going to come and give us a summary and update of what's going on in our district. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for coming on.
Of course, thank you for having me. And I did just want to let you all know, I know you've been working with Natalie and she's out for a while, but she's doing well. She's recovering from her medical procedure and she'll be back at the end of October. And she did just want to send her best regards to everyone. So thanks for allowing me to sit in for her. A couple things, I'm sure you all saw the reparations rally this week. Our office did introduce a resolution for the final reparations plan to be accepted. And at this point, all that means is we'll be focusing on getting the Office of Reparations set up. And so figuring out how that's going to happen is kind of up in the air as of now, but we'll keep you updated on that. And then we also have our LAO, the Language Access Ordinance that we've been working on. And so we're still working with the City Attorney's Office, with Community City Attorney's Office and OSEA to go through some final changes. There were some proposed amendments, and so we're going a little bit back and forth, not in a bad way, but just wanting to make sure that it's very inclusive of what the community really wants to see in the LAO. And so once that happens, we'll be able to schedule it at the Rules Committee. And so we're hoping to do that within the next few weeks. We also have, on October 21st, we have the Violence Prevention Peace Rally. That's our annual violence prevention. We released the new District 10 safety plan, and then we have a peace rally every year. And so that will be happening at Monarch Gardens. There is a flyer for that. And our newsletter should be coming out. I'm hoping to get it out tomorrow, actually. And so there'll be more detailed information. If you need to sign up for the newsletter, please let me know. And then really more specific to you all in Viz Valley, there's been conversations about the Leland Ave merchants wanting to become a formal neighborhood commercial district. And so there are some things going, or there's something that needs to be changed as far as the planning code. And I have to look more into it. Natalie, again, had been spearheading that. And so I'm not extremely familiar, but it has to do with some density issues. But there's already been a proposed, it's a proposed ordinance that's already kind of been put out there to change that, to move forward so that the merchants can have that, the neighborhood commercial district, the NCD. And so I have a meeting coming up for that on Monday, and I'll find more out so that I can update you all.
Yeah, Lindsay, I have a question about that. Since Northeast Medical Services is on the Leland corridor, is Leland not already a neighborhood commercial district?
I don't think it officially is. That's what I've gathered from the email that they've added me into. And so I have a meeting with someone from the small business and make sure this is correct, because this just popped up. This wasn't something that was actually on my radar while Natalie was out, but they reached out to me. So
I have so a little background on. Well, it is a commercial district. It's an NC2 or NC3.
Yes.
I think the issue came up because when the city passed that ordinance that vacant storefronts could be taxed or they had to register, the way it was written is that only certain neighborhood commercial district that were named, it had like the specifics that named commercial corridor districts would be eligible or under this new ordinance to tax vacant properties. Leland Avenue wasn't a named commercial corridor district. So the vacant storefronts on Leland Avenue, there's no mechanism to say, hey, property owners, you need to register it and pay a fee or fine as a way to incentivize them to rent it. So that's one of the underlying issues that on Leland that, yeah, we can have vacant storefronts, but there's nothing the city can do about it because we're not covered by that ordinance. So maybe it's just a language thing to say we need to change the name so we can be covered by the ordinance.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that should be an easy no-brainer. That should be not controversial at the board.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if there's more to it, but that was one of the issues that was brought up.
Yeah, thank you, Russell, and it's good to see you. That is exactly so. Right now it says currently zoned as an NC3. Not exactly sure what that means, but it is. It just needs. It's like you said, wording needs to be changed. From if I'm reading this correctly, it's just some wording that needs to change, and it looks like it says the mayor has already put a proposal to adopt that. So again, we'll see what the meeting, I have a meeting on Monday, and so hopefully I'll have another update for you all soon. But other than that, from our office, really, I don't have any updates. I'm not sure if you all have questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you know the benefits of being the neighborhood commercial district?
I don't, I apologize, I do not. And I can look into it, and after I have
It's
my meeting.
zoning. It's all zoning. So like an NCD is just like a designation that we give to a certain like corridor. And so there's just more flexibility in being able, or like certain designations for citywide ordinances, which is what sounds confusing to me because I haven't kept up with those things. But like basically like if you have an NCD neighborhood commercial district, you can like, it's still zoned specifically to by each building. Like it wouldn't just be like automatically changed. Their height and like density wouldn't change. It's just the designation of the corridor could potentially change, and then that means you would be applied, like you would be all the like ordinances that go through the board of supervisors at like all NCDs in the city, then you'd be one of those. But right now we're not, right? And so if we want to look into, and this is more of like a question for merchants, like if you want to look into changing height and density and looking at changing the planning code altogether, because like there is possibility of doing that. Like for instance, there's like special use districts, there's like in addition to a commercial district, in addition to a lot of different things to be done. That's a whole other conversation though, and I think that would be something that if we would probably want to engage the merchants on if we want to look at changing anything besides just the NCD. And we can do, like, ideally the supervisor can do both, like he can change the NCD and then later change the planning code, but I mean, if we were prepared, we could have done it all in one fell swoop, basically.
Yeah, and some of this is sort of connected to what the Slade Schlock process when it was under redevelopment, that Slade Schlock was zone 1 and Leland Avenue was zone 2 of redevelopment. So Leland Avenue would have been a part of the redevelopment process as a different entity outside of Slade Schlock. But once redevelopment went away from the state level, basically whatever was planned for Leland Avenue just kind of stopped. There was no other discussion on it.
Yeah, what's going on with Slade Schlock? That's actually a really good question because Lindsay, do you have any updates on that?
I don't have any updates on it. I apologize.
Can we get an update next time?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
and
you.
How often do you all meet? I want to make sure it's in my calendar. I know.
Well, we meet weekly, but we
really...
do this every third Thursday.
Gotcha. Whatever Anna's updated.
Okay, so let me ask also regarding the language access, what kind of things are being considered?
Let me see if I can put it up. I think there is. Were you all? Did Natalie ever update you on the original ordinance? Did you guys hear about that or no?
I don't remember hearing that.
Okay. Okay. So that would be the easiest way to. She broke my other computer, my laptop this morning, so I'm on a longer. Just messing with. right now, the ordinance is about, let's see. The biggest things are, so adding findings to ensure, well, this one's very general, but safe, inclusive, and equitable environment for providing city services and programs and equal access to city information. And then clarifying interpretation, which is spoken, versus translation, which is written, and making sure that that is uniform throughout the entire language access ordinance. Giving more power to the Office of Civic and Economic Immigrant Affairs to provide guidance for different city departments and remedies to city departments who are not adhering to the LAO. And so there's already, I don't know if you guys know some of the history, but an LAO, an ordinance already exists, but this is to strengthen the LAO. And so adding language access for health-related emergencies or disasters, as we experience like through COVID-19. Expanding language access for digital services and social media. And this is an area that I guess has had like tremendous growth since the LAO was introduced. Memorializing the 3 required languages, so Chinese, Spanish, Filipino, regardless of population changes. Codifying language access strategies for first responders in crisis situations. Requiring complaints on departments to be published quarterly on the OSEA website and to the Immigrant Rights Commission and the Board of Supervisors so that they can all work together to help departments comply with LAO and improve the language access services as a whole. I believe that is it.
So like ineffectually, what will that do to strengthen the LAO?
So right now, from what I've heard, there are multiple city departments who do not comply with the LAO. I don't want to say at all, but really aren't complying with the LAO. And so I think this is essentially kind of giving more teeth to OSEA, Board of Supervisors, to ensure that people are actually complying with these. And what we're hearing from community is, you know, mostly in like emergency response issues, so crisis issues, there's no one there to speak proper languages, and a lot of housing complaints where people need assistance and cannot get it. So making sure that these like vital departments are really complying with the LAO. That's what I've gathered from what needs to be implemented the most, I would say. And so I know
So it's more like strengthening enforcement of the law.
that
Yeah, if you have something written, can you send it to us?
I believe I can send you the draft. Let me double check on that. If I
Okay.
can send you the
Right, or
the
when
LAO.
it's done, it's fine.
Okay, will do.
You know, if there's a timeline, is it going to be finished before the next our next meeting, like October?
We're hoping to get it scheduled at rules so that it can be heard, and then from there it would go to the Board of Supervisors meeting. So I don't know if completely it will be done, but I hope that it at least goes through the Rules Committee.
Okay, all right. So yeah, if you could send us what you can send us, that would be great. And maybe at the next meeting, when you come back in the Thursday next month, if there's been progress, you can let us know about that as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Lindsay, I just want to put just one issue into Supervisor Walton's radar. You know, we've all heard about the Community Challenge Grant and that scandal with the you know, that issue. There's a group, we have a Community Challenge Grant in the neighborhood for a vacant lot on Pasadena and Velasco that was stored in the middle of still working it out, getting reviews from DPW to do a open space project. So we just want to make sure that the supervisor is aware that there was money allocated to the neighborhood through a Community Challenge Grant. A lot of that money is still waiting to be utilized. And whatever happens, we don't want to lose that opportunity to continue that project. So it's on hold for now because we're waiting for reviews with DPW. But at some point, we would like to make sure that money isn't gone so that project can still move forward.
Is this the right forum to ask about what happened to the community grant? Or maybe we can talk about it later?
Yeah, if you haven't heard, you can probably look that up in the news, but
Okay.
it's
All
not
right.
good.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding the reparations, setting up the office, I mean, I heard what you said in terms of it not being a clear pathway to it. And I guess my question is, what help, if any, does the supervisor need in that done?
Yeah, so as you know, the money for the Office of Reparations was included in the budget this year and approved. For whatever reason, and apologize that maybe I don't have the best information. I've only been with our office for a little bit, I guess just a year. I think I just reached a year. But the money for the office was put under the mayor's office. And so there, is skepticism of whether she will actually release that money to let it go. You all may have heard that she hasn't outright been supportive of reparations, or just, hasn't also really spoke out against it, but hasn't come out and said that she's extremely supportive. So there's just a little bit of skepticism of how this will happen, but the board is really supportive, as you may all have seen during the meeting. And so we're hopeful. We're hopeful that it'll get set up. So any, emails that you want to send to the mayor's office are always appreciated.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's all my questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you, Lindsay.
Much appreciated. May I ask, just as an
Thank
aside, you say you've been in this office for about a year. What were you doing before that?
Yeah, I was traditionally, my background is in education. I was a teacher for many years, and then I moved into the nonprofit world. And so I actually worked for Shaman at YCD while he was there. And so I had worked at YCD for almost a decade, honestly, and so in multiple roles. And so I was in community before that.
Okay, so let me ask this question. I didn't know how you were going to answer that, but before you came on, we were talking about reaching out in Viz Valley to the Hispanic community. And since you were at YCD working in D10, I'm just wondering if you have any insight into how we might reach out to that community.
Yeah, there's actually, it's really interesting. When I first started working at YCD, I was at Thurgood Marshall High School. And that's when there was really like a large influx of students that were coming in, from the Latinx community. And since then, it's obviously grown. And so at YCD, we didn't feel prepared, but we've had a lot of other community organizations come in and offer this support. And so right now, YCD has, in partnership with the LTF, the Latino Task Force, they have a hub right across from the main YCD office at 1706 Yosemite. Gosh, I'll have to send you it, because they used to do it like every Wednesday, Thursday, but now I think it's only one day a week. So I'll send you that information as well. But I would recommend connecting with the Latino Task Force. Obviously, they started in the Mission, but they're very strong in Bayview now as well. And so the folks who are working there at the Bayview Hub at across the street from YCD would really be some great resources to connect with. Yeah, for sure. And if I think of other ones, I will definitely let you know.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time this morning. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. I appreciate you all, and I'll make sure that I get the information back to you guys.
All right.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So that was very helpful. We appreciate her, and hopefully next month we can get additional information.